Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfrazzled Entrepreneur Podcast. Today we're chatting with my pastor friend Peter Miner. Stephen and I have come up with a Wingman VA pastor service. We want to get pastors' time back for them so they can do what they are called to do. So you'll learn in this episode how Peter went from being overwhelmed to learning how to hand off tasks to his VA. Here's our interview with Peter. Peter, tell us about how it's going. I know I saw your emails and Red, Jez is bringing Red onto the team. And so we'll just, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I kind of, you get used to somebody. So I was getting used to Jasmine. It was really kind of cool. At first it was just like, when we started this concept of having a virtual assistant, it was kind of like, okay, just do your homework and send it to me, and it's kind of done. And I realized that I needed the face-to-face, or at least voice-to-voice, like a staff person would in my local setting. And I know daily that's impossible. So we, just recently started okay, when can we meet for like 30 minutes, talk about things? Because my assumption was they might be able to speak into my life how to do something better than what I'm telling them to do for me.
Yes.
And so that's just a new thing that I started doing after I got back from vacations and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of cool because, there's a couple times where she said, I don't feel good. Can we postpone it? And I said, hey, let me pray for you. And then it's become kind of a,
relationship,
a relationship, not just a service,
That's cool.
And so when she said, hey, I want to roll you over to another VA that can do more for you, to be honest with you, I was kind of like, really? I mean, it's kind of like, do we have to? But I get it, And so Red and I we continued the weekly face-to-face. And she I think she's going to rock it in a new way for me that I really need, and I'm really excited about,
That's good. Yeah. So we feel so this is just a beta, as you know. So I feel like with Jazz, we're just looking at a way she obviously can't do everything. So she may end up being the forward-facing person for most of these pastors, but then the work is done with another VA. And I actually told Jazz that I don't even know if we necessarily have to tell the pastors, hey, we're having somebody else work on your account. As long as the work's getting done and it flows through Jazz, and Jazz is the one that you're talking to, we can do it different ways. But
I follow that. In other words, if there's a good relationship, that person represents the connection with the pastor.
Exactly. And so we're going to have multiple, because you may have something that needs to be done that neither Red nor Jazz can do. And so we have somebody else work on that. And I don't think Jazz needs to say, oh, here's your VA that's doing this little task for you, and here's your VA that's doing this little task. There probably should be one or at the most 2 points of contact. For you. And then we just have a team behind them that's doing the work. And now some of the work they're going to do too, but that's good to hear. Okay.
Yeah. Well, right now I got 3 VAs that are kind of in there.
Okay.
Jazz originally, now
Farrah.
Red.
Okay.
Farrah I've never talked to, only chatted with back and forth about data research only.
Okay.
So, which is fine, so anyway, as I'm getting used to this, it's going well. I'm excited about it. I think and I'm going to just kind of guide this conversation to the thought of other pastors who aren't in this with me yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I wasn't getting everything done that needed to be done because I was feeling crushed and overwhelmed. So I had to get things off my shoulders that I knew how to do, but I don't like to do. So that is happening more and more. And that now I'm to the place. So it's taken time, it's taken time to go from I'm doing too much to now I'm not doing as much, to what can you the VA do for me I can't do for myself. That helps my church.
Yay.
So
Yes.
I think I'm shifting into that finally after 3 months. It's just taking me time.
Sure.
And so that's where Red has got me pretty fired up about Google AdWords for,
Yes.
and she's evaluating my website from a marketing perspective and a branding level, which I already know this. I'm not trying to, but we've had quotes for that kind of stuff from American-based businesses, and it's been very cost prohibitive for us to enter into that, even though it's necessary because our church isn't ready to take on that extra budgetary expense, even though it is definitely needed. And it's kind of part of the new marketplace for a church. Like, you don't have a marketing strategy and you don't have a branding going on, and you're just a church that's in the corner, so to speak, in your community, and you're basically just barely making it, maybe economically. The pastor's already working another job or whatever. That's just not on the forefront. It's not on the forefront. But now all of a sudden, Red's bringing me, I think, to a new level where it can be on the forefront, which is really good. So
Awesome.
so I just wanted to, one of the ideas that I had here was advertising. So I wanted to just, let you know that I had not thought about this prior to this VA. So this is kind of a new thought that I was thinking could be a business model to help pastors. Okay. So a number of years ago, I spent over $1,000 with a guy who was talking about doing marketing and I personally spent $700, not $1,000. And because my church couldn't afford it, but I was so excited about it, I said, I'm just going to spend it anyway. And then it became too overwhelming for me and I couldn't execute it. And so but one of the things that I learned in that whole marketing thing was that Google offers certain nonprofits with a 501(c)(3) status, which includes churches, to have free advertising to the equivalent of up to 120,000 a year in free advertising.
Yes.
So maybe you guys knew that.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of pastors know that.
Interesting.
And then I don't think a lot of pastors have the time or the energy to try to get it done, to apply for it.
Yeah. Is it a gargantuan task to get approved?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I went, so that was one of the things I picked up. So I applied for it, but the process of what they want you to do is just kind of technologically cumbersome for me. Okay. So I got in there halfway and I got frustrated and I just quit. Yeah. And then I got a hold of a guy who was charging me I don't know, $200 or $300 a month to do stuff. And he didn't want to do the Google AdWords for me because he was persuaded doing ads on Facebook only was adequate social media. And perhaps it was, but I'm the pastor and I want you to do what I want you to do for me. Right. So I want you to apply for Google AdWords. So he did it. He got it done. But when he realized that I wanted to drop the Facebook ads, he was kind of like, "Hey, you're going in a different direction than I am. I want to work with clients that want to do what I want to do for them or something."
Yeah.
So I got it done and applied and approved, but I never did anything with it. And I've been sitting on it for 2 years because I don't have the time to figure out how to market the church based on who we are with Google AdWords, even though it's free. I just, it's just, it was another step again,
Sure.
So I think if somehow your team could offer to help pastors with the whole social media, internet component of, we can help apply. As long as you have this paperwork, we can help you apply for Google AdWords for free. Our VAs can actually help you come up with a suggested campaign of how to use it in your local context.
Yeah.
and they will advertise for you and help you drive potential new people in your community to your church.
That's awesome.
Steven, and I have to live that out. I have to live that out right now. So I'm not living it out yet, but I see it.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to just circle back to the point where you felt kind of the different stages. Stage 1, you were overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Stage 2, now you're getting your time back.
Mm-hmm.
The next 2 stages are very like me just trying to put words to what I'm feeling. Like now you're at a place where you want to level up or be more efficient. This is the next phase that you're on now that you're getting your time back of the next. Something that me and Ryan, he was just here and we were talking to missionaries and pastors. We're trying to also help people dream. So I think this is becoming more clear for me as we're helping more people. There does seem to be a huge pain point with overwhelm. How the best to help? I don't know. I think with you it was very interesting because we've had a lot of conversations with pastors and they just go, I'm too overwhelmed to even have a call with you. You at least got on a call and we're just custom fitting what this is to you. Maybe as we move forward, it might need to be kind of what you had the pain point of the Facebook person where it's just like, we do it this way and you're either doing it this way or you're not doing it with us.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think even with Ryan just said of just like, we could point you in the right direction. I think we're trying to just find the best solution for kingdom things. And that seems to be one of them. But the stages of overwhelm, getting your time back, these are 2 main pieces. The next 2, I think, are that like leveling up. And then the dreaming piece is what I'm getting very excited about because we had some extremely exciting conversations that we were allowed to just dream. What if this and what about that? And it just like there are a lot of opportunities. So I think getting more people to where you're at. I'm not overwhelmed anymore. I'm getting a little bit of my time back.
Right.
What's the next thing to make what I'm doing better? Because I think when you're in that overwhelmed state, you're just surviving. And I as a Christian business person, I don't think we're just supposed to be surviving. I think we're supposed to be thriving. And I think this is the call and passion that me and Ryan have is to how can we help pastors go from overwhelmed to thriving? Like you don't just have to survive. You don't just have to like barely make to the next thing or live for Sunday. Like that doesn't feel like what we're called to. At least me personally, I don't know. Everybody's got their own way of feeling.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
Need help link something with real quick. You guys keep.
Yeah. Does he want us to wait?
No, I think we can keep going. I think he's Callan, I think is trying to sneak in the room.
Yeah. Stephen, I'm not sure I think I understood everything you said, but are you saying like your particular experience may not be the same need and experience another pastor will have? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that the 2 points that I brought, feeling overwhelmed, getting my time back, has given me that's our objective to help other pastors, whatever that means, differently for them than you?
I think that there are 2 concepts that I'm trying to hold at the same time. One is I think any pastor that feels overwhelmed, we're trying to help them get their time back, level up, and be able to dream. My personal confliction is I don't think as pastors or Christians anything, we're meant to just survive. So those people that are in that overwhelmed state almost feel called or convicted, like they have to stay there. And I don't think that is true. So what I'm saying is by helping you and other people, I'm starting to feel like this is really what I am called to do, is to help more people that feel overwhelmed and want to get unoverwhelmed and do the next thing, is to give them their time back, help them level up and dream so that they can thrive instead of just survive. Because we've seen some churches like sink too in the pandemic. And it was just like, I don't know, I'm not in the inner workings, but from what I can see, it felt like there were a couple of things that could have changed to help the church continue on instead of falling. Our personal church is continuing to plant churches. We've bought up more property. We are thriving. And it's just interesting. Like, oh, these are 2 interesting things. Some churches are feeling pain points from COVID, and some churches have found a way to adjust and thrive in this next phase. So I think the question you're asking me is, what was the personal piece of that? And what is the overall of what me and Ryan are trying to do? I think the overall me and Ryan are trying to help anybody that's overwhelmed get their time back, is like the core of it.
Anybody, not doesn't pastor, just help anybody. Yeah.
Anybody that feels overwhelmed to get their time back. The additional 2 pieces of what I feel called and what we've just come back from is to let the people level up to whatever that means and dream. I don't know where that fits in, but I think it's the natural progression just from hearing what you just said. I think the next piece is you're going to figure it out. You're going to start thriving and then go, okay, how do we take this to the next level? What is the infinite piece of this that we can really shoot for?
Yeah, I think this is another perception. Like when I was originally talking to you guys, I said, I don't want to have to keep track of hours. I want to just throw things at you. But in order to gauge the expense of what this will be, just let me know every time I hit 10 hours, because then I can calculate. Now, another pastor might say, just let me know when I hit 20 hours or let me know when I hit 40 hours. I mean, but I was shocked that it took so long to hit 10 hours, to be honest with you. And,
the amount of work that you got done.
Yeah, because what took her 10 hours to reach probably was my 40 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not exaggerating,
This is another interesting conversation. I don't know if now is the perfect time to have it, but the idea of where you're at overwhelmed and going, I'm doing this, it's taking me 40 hours. How can I give this 40-hour position to somebody else? There is a discrepancy in just the efficiency because somebody else is doing graphics full time, doing something full time. As soon as you hand it to them and it's something that's taking you 5 hours to do, it takes them 20 minutes. Like there's the difference in outsourcing this thing. It's not 40 hours for 40 hours, but it's your 40 hours for somebody else's 10 hours. Like there's a huge discrepancy there. And I think this is what catches people to go, I can't pay somebody 40 hours of whatever this is to do this thing. But but the cost saving is in the efficiency and it's somebody else's time.
But what took me 40 hours could have taken somebody else in my office 10 hours, like it took them 10 hours, but the cost factor is different, you know? So, and the irony is I double paid you.
Oh, I didn't cash that check because I don't have a Wingman VA's checking account.
No, we double paid you by accident. And I said, to the treasurer, just let it go, man. This was worth it all,
Yeah. So Steve and I have that check. We can save it. We're not going to cash it.
Yes.
I don't even have a way to cash it anyway.
Yeah. I'm not going to show this check the front of it, but I'm showing the back. I want some more symbolic checks. We're doing very interesting things, and I just want the memories. We went to talk to some people that were into sports, and they have like sports memorabilia, and I was just like, oh, I'm not into sports, but I would love to have we helped Peter as a pastor do this. This is the check that symbolizes that change. He was overwhelmed. And it's just
that's a cool idea. I need to tell my treasurer that she'll be upset with me if you don't cash it. I at least need to say they're not going to cash it. Should I say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I literally can't unless I get a Wingman VA's checking account.
It'll be up on the wall soon enough.
All right, guys. Well, listen, the other thing I posted something on Facebook, and one of the pastors, I've had a lot of interest, but it's the follow through that people don't have time for, which is crazy. Right. I think there's 3 or 4 pastors that have given me very strong affirmative. Tell me more, I'm interested, but just catching them and getting them to square off and act on it is just another level,
There's another pain point we're finding. People are so overwhelmed we can't even jump on a call with them.
Yeah. Yeah, really. I mean, it's so stinking true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, one of my objectives here that's getting exciting is that I want to get away from my desk as a pastor. Now, and every pastor is different, but I want to be out with people. And when I can get more off my back, I can be out with people, really meeting with people, making a difference, and not trying to play catch up with all the little details that somebody I can't afford who's not here would do, So I think we can really help the smaller congregation, the busy pastor, if we can break through the walls of their cycles. And I think the price point, I think you can't do it in 30 days. I mean, I think what I'm modeling might be able to help put it into a box a little bit better. But it's taking me time because I don't know how to help myself until I start rolling stuff off.
Sure. Do you think it'd be helpful to have have a call that Stephen and I get on with the pastors, or maybe it's Jazz eventually, where we just I think at homework where they're walking through everything they do as a pastor, because I feel like at this point I would be able to say that's something you can get off your plate if you want to. That's something you can definitely get off your plate if you want to. I know enough about the VAs and what they can do that I could point to individual tasks and we could tackle one at a time.
Yeah, I think I'm just thinking out loud with you guys. I don't know, but if you were to try to create a register now webinar, Zoom for pastors, whether they're listening or they're in video like we are here, is secondary.
Yeah.
But if you could get enough pastors that just registered to learn more about how a virtual assistant can give you your time back, free webinar to learn more how we can help you get your time back.
Yeah.
And if you could get 50 people registered and only 10 actually show up, and you just allowed me to be a part of that to answer any questions I might be able to answer, because they may ask questions that don't relate to me in my world that I can't answer, But I think that might be a way of at least getting people to move from I'm too busy for a call to that's 3
weeks. Make it a little bit more of a priority.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks out. I need to be on that.
Let's do it. How about the three of us just do that webinar? We come up with I can create some PowerPoint slides, some simple things, introduce the system, and mainly just make it about you and asking you some questions, and because they're going to take it a lot better from you than us.
I think having a virtual assistant as part of that as well is helpful.
Oh, you can have Jazz on the webinar.
Yeah, I think if she could pull it off timetable wise, I mean,
no, she totally could. We could do like 8 p.m. And that would be 9 East. If we did 8, well, I'll just say we could do it. What's a better time for pastors, morning or evening?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if they're bivocational and they have a daytime career, probably evening.
Okay. Okay. We could do 2 different sessions too.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I could probably, within my social network of pastors, I could circulate that as well as you circulate that.
Sure, because then that's evergreen content that can be posted. It's not just about that one webinar.
And constant send pastors back to.
Yeah, pastor. We could put it on we need a pastor VA website anyways. That recording could live on that site. We could send people to that site. I like that idea.
And the new pastors that we have coming in, Ryan, I'd love to make podcast episodes from it. I think we captured some video from the starting calls when we were talking to Peter, and just go like, this is the first call from Peter. This is what we had. Like, imagine how powerful it'd have been now if this is like the 4th episode to where Peter was like, I don't know, let's try. I'm doing the signs. The sign thing just took me 10 hours. How am I ever going to now it's like a pastor would be able to see themselves. See the progression.
Right.
Yes.
I do have a question for you. Sorry, go for it. I was going to ask you, where was that turning point for you? Like, maybe even reaching out to us? Like, what made you reach out to us or jump on a call with us? Like, what was the thing that you go?
Well, your podcast. I listened to Ryan, you podcasting about getting your time back.
Okay.
And you didn't even mention pastors. You just said we have VAs that can virtually do almost anything for you to get your time back or something like that. And I went, what about me and my pastoral world? And I was, and I try to run, an online business for supplemental income for my family. And that's primarily why I originally listened to Ryan in general, or any podcast, but I learned so much for ministry app from the business world that it crossed over into my spirit, not because you said that,
Nice. This lets me know, Ryan, a lot of stuff that we're doing is that digging wells.
Yes.
Like that was you're already speaking about e-commerce online. It seems like pastors is one of those audiences that are listening and just trying to, like Peter, supplement income, make a little bit more, and then just hearing that, and just this new episode of just, hey, here's a new thing. If you need help with VAs, anything, reach out. So I think it's continue to do what we're doing and just be aware of the things that are working, and then just go, how can we do more of those? We could do more podcast episodes just talking VAs. I think we're already having plans of doing that, especially using a lot more of the Unfrazzled entrepreneurs and just making it more directed towards. Now we kind of have a better idea to help pastors. Yes. How do we have more episodes in that vein so that we can have more pastors reach out to us and just get on calls?
I give you 2 more ideas that are challenges for me. Okay. One is, originally Ryan said something about, all the passwords related to working with a VA. So I just was not successful with figuring that out yet. And I know there are going to be pastors that will be more concerned about it than
security
than what I was. And I'm just like, I trust Ryan. I trust the VAs. I'm just going to give them my passwords. And if I got to change it someday, I will, because I couldn't figure the software out. And I had a hard time. The software you mentioned was
LastPass,
but there's no personal tech support. You get locked out with them and you're just stuck. And then
that's something we could offer.
And do an onboarding for and just ask.
Yeah, it wasn't user friendly for me, and I didn't have the time to go find a zillion others. And I don't know. I gave up. So overwhelmed again with another piece of software.
That's good.
That was one thing, and then the other thought that is coming to me is, like, my church is more than willing to pay the virtual assistant costs to help their pastor, which is great. But there's another part of me where I heard this. My adult kids have a friend who did this for somebody. It was just in the United States. It was like a personal assistant to help you with your life in general.
Yes.
And I thought it would be kind of nice if I could just have maybe one VA that just doesn't matter if it's business or if it's church.
Yeah.
Just want to hear it and we'll help you figure it out. And I'm not there yet, but
we could do
I'm
that.
feeling that. Does that make sense?
For sure. We could totally do that. I mean, I feel like we are building this plane as we're flying it. So if a pastor had an idea or needed help with something, you just would figure out how to do that for them, because then that might be something that other pastors would be interested in. So we're not just building it specifically for that one person. There's others that would take advantage of that.
So in other words, whether somebody is a pastor and needs a virtual assistant for their business, and then they discover, hey, you could help me with my church, or the other way around.
Correct. Exactly. And I would consider it one service, or if it started flowing into some of the other stuff we're doing, it might be another. Stephen and I can figure all that out. But the answer is yes, we could serve that person in that way.
Yeah, I think it's a custom solution. A lot of these ideas that we're talking about, I think we can do. There's somebody to do them. We have a large enough team to tap into to go, who could be the best fit for this? I think even when we started you off, it was just like, what's the one thing you need? Let's find the one person that can do that one thing. Right. And it morphed, and then Jazz kind of took the lead on, and now she's even finding other VAs to do the things that she might not be able to do. And we're just, I think even as we're helping you going, what is the best way to structure this? At some point, me and Ryan don't want to get on all the calls, because there's going to be some efficiency where a pastor just comes in and goes, all I need is help with is this one thing with my emails, with my YouTube. It's like, we don't need to get on all those calls, but if it's a custom fit for, I think we can, like Ryan said, we can figure it out and go, okay, Peter needs this for his church, and then for this for his business. And he has an Amazon business, and we have people that be able to do this. This might be the best person to do both of these, or it might be a small team, but you have one contact point, and the Jazz is the contact point. Then she can go, is this for the church? Is this for your business? All right, this team is going to handle your business, and this team is going to help the church. And I'm sure there's some crossover in there too, because the team is going to find efficient ways to work together. So I think there's a lot of solutions that we can come up with, but it's really, how many hours is it truly going to cost or take? And it's not 40, 80. It's really going to be with somebody that can do it, figuring it out and going, oh, it's only going to take 5 hours.
And so what your tasks are as a pastor, I mean, it really is. One of the tasks that I have right now that I'm trying to figure out is because our community is growing exponentially. Okay. So like there used to be the welcome wagon back in the day, they would bring gifts to new move-ins and So how do churches find out who's moving in and bought a new home within the last 3 to 6 months? So I've got Farah who's trying to help me figure that out, but she lives in the Philippines. And I said, well, check this out. And then she sent me buying lots. And I said, I don't think that's it. And I just don't have the time to research even to find out how to get that data. But that's a really important data thing for me to figure out.
I think even a simple Zillow solds will be able to give you an area.
Yeah, but I want new move-in people. I don't want people who sold. I want people who bought. I want to know.
Yeah, but if you sold, then you'll know the addresses, and then you can send to that address.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't have the time to go figure out where to get those addresses.
But you know what? My Stephen, my realtor friend, said he has access to some pretty amazing software with Keller Williams that allows him to
it might be a realtor connection
data. So I wonder if he would be able to pull. I can ask him this. So you would want like the name and address of people that moved in your area?
Yeah, I'd like to mail them something. I can't necessarily email them, but I could say, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. If you're looking for a church, here we are. This is what we do. I mean, that stuff can't hurt, you know?
Right. Let me send him a message right now and ask him.
So
these are the next part of the leveling up is like, what ideas do you have? Let's listen to the ideas and see how we can move forward with them. I think this is what
that was one of them. That was one of them.
So I think as you're moving forward, just take note of these things. Like, hey, here's an interesting thing, and then write them down. It might be very unique to you, but even this concept of, hey, if you're a small church in this area, here's another strategy to
come up with a spreadsheet that I can fill in. You know, come up with some kind of a form or something that maybe you email out once a week, once a month to
new ideas, new concepts
are, and say, give us any new insights. You know, how are we serving you best? You know, it's got to be for a season. It's got to be an evaluation process. Because if you say we're as busy as we are, which we are, we're overwhelmed. That's the last thing I want to do is purposely go figure it out. Right? I know it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong.
But I think these are maybe not like a weekly or monthly check-in, but I think it's quarterly calls.
Yeah.
Me and Ryan getting on, or a VA that really knows how to do this and follow up and go, okay, we're doing all these things for you. Is there anything that we could do better? Is there another thing that you would like to add? Even with you talking about the marketing is like, oh, that's something that I think the team would be able to, if you gave that to Jazz, I'm sure Jazz would be able to implement that. But I think also telling me and Ryan, it just goes, oh, this is another thing that churches might not know they even have access to. Right. This is something that we can help them with. Hey, are you a church looking to run ads or let people know about your church? Yeah. Google allows you to have X amount of free advertisement. Like, here's a situation or a strategy that we have used with success to do in. So it might take some testing with you or some other people to like really hone it in and figure it out. But it seems like a great avenue for helping.
And there may be some churches that don't even have a logo. They don't even have, all they have is a name and a sign, and they don't have even anybody to create I mean, there's a lot of variation. But anyway, I'm very pleased with everything, and I appreciate you guys so much.
If you're a pastor like Peter, who we just talked to, and you're feeling overwhelmed, we want to help you. I'm Ryan Rieger, and here with my good friend Stephen Hibbert, we have a passion to help pastors become unfrazzled so they can spend more time doing what they are called to do, what the Lord has called them to do in their ministry. Peter even said he wants to get out from behind his desk and go out and minister to folks. And with his VA service, he's been able to do that. And that's what excites us. So guys, don't wait. Let us help get your time back. Learn more by checking out the link in the description below.